Hi, this is David with EV World News. We're talking about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. And I'm here today with engineer Mike Herzog. How's it going, Mike?
Glad to be here again, David.
All right. Well, it always seems lately we talk more and more about the Chinese dominance. It's not really Chinese invasion because we're managing to keep the Chinese car
Mhm.
manufacturers out of the United States. We've got Chinese car batteries, but other people are starting to make car batteries domestically. But it's starting to get to the point of just ridiculousness. We've got this, was it the BYD Seagull that's it was $11,000 when introduced, but the US dollar keeps getting stronger. It's now under
Under
$10,000.
$10,000. Yeah.
Yes, and this next one I'm going to show is the Chang'an Lumen. Now the price is expressed in British pounds, but it's 4,200 pounds. So that would be somewhere probably around 4,500, maybe $5,000 US at the most. This is absolutely nuts. Now, this is essentially, and this is something a lot, as you get down into lower price tiers, we're basically in a golf cart, right? But this is a
Golf
little
cart,
nicer
right?
than a
I
golf
mean,
cart.
I
You
will
know,
say, like the side by sides, the really fancy UTVs, everything like that. God, those are $15,000, $20,000. So it's less
this
than a
is
golf cart.
this is $5,000
This is a
for a
big
new car. And
Power wheels, maybe.
yeah, it's got pedals. I mean, it's got something here, some kind of shifter knobs.
Hmm.
Looks like it's got stereo. It's got a QR code here on the dash. God
Yeah.
knows what that does. Probably you probably power it through your phone. No, I don't know. I try. It's just tough. I mean, it's a two-door car, very
Yeah.
ample for somebody who doesn't have a flock of children. But
Oh, it's plenty for city commuting, and one of the reasons I think these cars get such a low price value is they don't have the power. They go 60 miles an hour max. Good luck putting any weight in these things and what they look at. And if that's your design criteria, and like I'm not planning on taking this thing across country. I'm not planning on taking this in the interstate, but I live in a metro community and I want to drive back and forth.
yeah,
Why not?
my understanding, I read some details on this car. It has a battery pack that's only about 13 kilowatt hours.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's pretty small, but it has a 130-mile range. So that's about 10 miles per kilowatt hour. So it's a very lightweight vehicle
Yeah.
to get that. And it is cheap. Now, battery prices have been cratering. And, I see this, there's not enough lithium in the world. There's like, we all know that's a lot of crap. And now you got the different kinds of batteries. But this is what the Chinese are able to put out. Do I want to own one of these? No. But it'd be cool to have one. Yeah. You
Yes.
know, as an extra
Oh,
vehicle.
it looks fun. It looks like it would be fun to hop in that and toot around a little bit and see what
Oh,
happens.
send your kids to school in these. I mean, I look at, you know, it's been a while since I had to buy my kids a car, but last time I bought a used car for my kids, I spent 9,000, different stuff like that. You can't get a used car for that now.
No,
You're really fortunate if you can find something that drives used in the United States for under 15,000.
I had a 2010 Honda Civic and had a line of friends who, like, I need a commuter car for my kid. Like, I can't get this. It's the first one, and I don't know, like $6,000 for a bare bones 13-year-old Honda Civic.
Right.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane right now.
Yeah, but if you can imagine just having and picking up a $5,000 new car, because I see these people, it's like, oh, but they're $50,000 to replace the battery. So what? Just buy
Oh, wow.
10.
Buy a new car.
Yeah.
Just buy another one. Get the Costco value pack.
This is the car they would sell at Costco, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I'm just saying, it's crazy what the Chinese are coming up with. I
Now,
mean,
one thing I'm really curious about these is if and when, it's going to be when they make their way to America, how are they going to upgrade to safety standards, and what our baseline requirements are, and how to put everything in that space, and what's that going to do to the ultimate price tag, where this is a bunch of aluminum, around a battery.
Right.
We're not going to cut that because we have Escalades driving around.
Right.
And
Yeah, I understand that. But we talked about this three-wheel bicycle, the Elf,
Mhm.
a while back, and they've been in over 50 accidents where they've been struck by cars, and nobody's been seriously injured in one.
Mhm.
And they've been struck by vehicles going as fast as 55,
Whew.
and they have a max speed of 20. So that it doesn't matter what direction it got hit from. That was a pretty hard hit, and the bike rider walked away from it.
Wow.
So I'm just saying this may not be, you know, the greatest option in the world when we talk about this, but this is, what you're giving is a good reason to not ride a bike or not ride a
Yeah.
motorcycle. Okay.
Oh, 100%.
Um,
100%.
but, and that's one of the reasons why, you know, e-bikes were one of the lowest adopting countries for e-bikes. But I just look at that. Now, is this going to come to the United States? Nope, nope, nope. We're going to protect, the United States is going to protect, tariffs and other things. And like you're saying, the national highway traffic safety standards, all those things, they're going to keep vehicles like that out of the country. But
Yep.
we are seeing a $20,000 EVs hitting the United States next year.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a challenge for some of these other car makers. But right now, the cheapest gas car is just over 15,000, and that's a Nissan Versa. And so we'll see where that plays out. So the next thing I want to talk about, Volvo EX30 is named the 2024 World Urban Car, and this is a small Volvo SUV, not as small as the little Chinese car we were just showing. And this is what we say, it's about $35,000 for one
Yep.
of these. Here's some pictures. Let's see. It's nice looking. I mean, it's Volvo, nice looking vehicle. 34,000 pounds, $35,000 approximately, but you can get these here in the States.
Yep.
It's a nice looking vehicle.
It's
And
it's fine, and you love to see established manufacturers putting vehicles like this out. Let's test it. Let's see how it goes. And apparently, it's performing real well for what it's doing.
so out of 38 different entrants, the EX30 was awarded the title of 2024 World Urban Car in a presentation at the New York International Auto Show. Volvo's smallest ever SUV was named as one of the top 3 cars in the world out of 38 nominees. It's an interesting award. Small SUV Crossover of the Year award from the Sunday Times, Eco Warrior of the Year award from Top Gear magazine. A few different awards.
No, it's a
Let's
nice little SUV. Looks like it's still got some decent space. I mean, it's
Yeah, this
performing well. I know it's a good
has
deal. Now,
a
you and I were
range of
talking. What does urban car of the world
right.
urban car award? I don't know what that means, but it's got to be worth
It
something.
means it drives to the suburbs, I guess. It has
Yeah.
a range of 476 kilometers. So that would be about 325 miles, probably. Battery can be recharged from 10 to 80% in 25 minutes. That's not bad charging time either. So,
Mhm.
it's nice looking vehicle. It's good to see entrants like that.
Mhm.
Now, I wanted to talk about this article I found on 6 cars that seem expensive but rarely need repairs. And this is coming from banking rates. And let's see here, because these are mostly gas cars, but it's an interesting perspective on where where things are going in the car business. So the first one was Subaru Outback, a $29,000 car, and it's not the cheapest, but it's not the cheapest midsize SUV, but it's really cheap to repair. They're
Mhm.
known for versatility and reliability. And this one's a full size pickup, GMC Sierra 1500. Now we're talking about gas cars here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't really cover gas cars as much, and it's $36,000 is higher than the Ford Ranger, F-150, Chevy Colorado, Silverado, or Ram 1500. You know, my argument with this is you can't buy a GMC
No, that's
Sierra
I was just
1500
gonna
for
look at
$40,000. You'd be
give me
lucky to buy one
give
for
me a break
60. Yeah.
that's more expensive than those. No, good luck finding an F-150 for that price.
Yeah, well, we've talked about this before, how large size pickup trucks are stacking up on dealer lots. There's
Mhm.
a 4 to 6 month supply of pickup trucks, gas powered pickup trucks on lots. I see these arguments that there's EVs sitting on lots. It's like, well, yeah, there are EVs sitting on lots, the ones that won't sell, because there are a bunch of ugly models out there that just nobody wants.
Mhm.
And I kind of blame the big three for that. They made some really poor choices on design for some EVs. And then you see stuff like that Volvo we just looked at. It's
Yeah,
like, well, that was nice.
yeah,
I mean,
that's going to sell. That's going to
yeah,
sell and do well at that price tag. It's gonna do
if
great.
we had those $5,000 cars here in the US,
Yeah.
it would be different. Now, I know some guys bringing in a car that's going to be similar, but it's 4 doors, but it's classified as a low speed vehicle, but it's still a 4 door car, but has a max speed of 50.
Okay.
And so it avoids some of those national highway traffic safety things. And
Because
they're going
it's
to
not
sell it.
rated for highway travel.
Yeah. And they're going to sell it for $12,000 here in the US. So that'll be interesting. But once again, it's just basically an upgraded golf cart.
Mhm.
Is essentially what it is, but it'll have a little bit over 100-mile range. It has a longer range than the Fiat 500e.
Yeah.
So, it'll be interesting to see, because it's certainly cheaper. And it's going to be cheaper than any gas car in the United States.
Yeah.
But that company that's bringing those over, they target companies or people that just do deliveries. So the idea is it would be used mainly for somebody who's doing
Doing
DoorDash and
DoorDash,
Uber.
yeah.
Well,
Or
I
if
don't know
you're
about Uber, but
driving
because it'd be kind of small
household.
for Uber, but doing, delivering food, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes a ton
Let's,
of sense. Makes a ton of sense. What's with those such low price tags I've got in the back of my head, I mean, is that feasible for people to own two vehicles at that point? It's I've got my commuting car, I've got my golf cart that I
right.
take to the grocery store and do all that for my day driving, but then I can still have my SUV. I can still have that if I'm going to go cross country. I mean, at that $5,000 to $10,000, I mean, that's you
Yeah.
could if you have
Yeah.
space. That's two vehicle for an individual.
It's certainly making vehicles more affordable, if nothing else. But
Mhm.
this GMC Sierra, one of the things that when people get a full size pickup truck and it costs $8,000 to $12,000 to replace the engine a few years down the road, they usually go ahead and replace them in the pickup trucks. Whereas in other cars, when your engine goes out, most people don't replace it.
No.
But on a full size pickup truck, people do, because that truck chassis has a lot of value.
Mhm.
And so that's just something that's a little different. Now, our next vehicle is the Lexus ES, and it's an inexpensive car, and it just isn't in the shop very often. And this is one of the things with Toyotas. Toyotas aren't in the shop, and Lexus is basically an upgraded Toyota. Now, I didn't expect this. The Genesis G80 and G90, these are big. Genesis, which is a Hyundai Kia,
Uh,
you know, luxury
it's
brand.
yeah, it's they got their luxury. I wish I knew more about Genesis. It's a brand I really don't know much about.
Their logo and the look of the cars makes them look a little bit like a Bentley,
Yeah, yeah,
and they have very similar styling. And you're looking at it,
yeah.
it's like,
That's
oh,
I mean, their logo's even got wings, doesn't it? I
right,
mean, it's
it
it's
does.
very
It's
similar.
very similar, to the point where it almost seems like it's ripping that off. But they
Yeah,
are nice looking vehicles, and they are very nice vehicles.
yeah, yeah.
And
No,
then
they're
of course,
beautiful cars.
but here's where it gets kind of, so then we get to the Honda Accord. And we've all known the Honda Accord, the Toyota Camry. There's a few cars that are associated with longevity, minimal repair costs. And then after that, the next category, for inexpensive to maintain and repair, pretty much any electric vehicle.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's interesting, 'cause I really wanted to see what they were going to say in here. EVs have fewer moving parts, means there's usually less that can go wrong, leading to lower repair costs. They do
Mhm.
have tire issues, but you don't really replace brake discs and pads. See, this is kind of funny. This article says brake discs and pads will still need to be factored in, even though people, they have more issues from the stuff dry rotting than they do from actually
Actually
needing to
wear and
replace
tear.
them. EVs are typically heavier. This has been somewhat disproven. I've been looking at a lot of numbers on gas versions versus EV versions of the same cars, and the EVs aren't even as much heavier as if that car was a convertible. Because you know
Mhm.
how convertibles are much heavier than regular
Yeah.
cars. And the difference wasn't as much as what one would have thought, because people always think they're factoring in that battery weight, but the battery is replacing a transmission, an
Yeah.
engine,
It's all the parts.
fuel, a fuel tank. You know, there's just a lot of things it's replacing. But I thought this was good because at first I was like, well, why is this article? This is even from MSN, and there's no question MSN is a left-leaning news site. And so I just found that to be kind of fascinating deal. My last one, last article for today, is the Great Electric Car Scandal. And this is from the Telegraph in the UK. And it said, look back at the Volkswagen Dieselgate scandal from a
Mhm.
few years ago, where they were exaggerating certain things on emissions and all this. And the claim is the official figures for the range of electric cars overestimate the real life range by about a third. Now, these cars were driven around a test track in Bedfordshire in the UK until they ran out of juice. Let's see. The Lexus UX300E, officially 270 miles, managed only 170 miles before slowing to a halt, 38% less than advertised. Now, a lot of this depends on how it was driven.
Yeah.
And we all know that in the days of gas cars, no gas car ever got the mileage it was supposed to get
Never.
unless it was driving downhill with the wind behind it.
Yeah. And that's every time you see miles per gallon range, put an asterisk by it. What is the small print exactly? It was downhill, it was windy, it was 65 degrees and sunny, it was perfect conditions, and we had an expert driver. We
We
had
had, we had a
perfect
100 pound
gasoline. Yeah, we
we
had
had a
91
100
octane.
pound jockey driving it.
Yeah, we did. And I'm sure it's the same with all of these. And um,
You know, have you ever watched any of the solar powered car
yeah,
races?
yeah, those
They
races.
always find the smallest girl they can stick in there as the driver.
No way.
The girls don't even
No
weigh
way.
100 pounds
Yeah,
and stick them in there driving the car so
yeah,
they don't add to the weight of the vehicle.
yeah. You know what? I like seeing stuff like this. It's fine. Somebody tested it, they looked, but tell the whole story. I mean, what's the comparison to combustion vehicles? Did they do it with that? Yeah, it's just you're never you're never gonna get to those levels.
No, it's hard to make some of that just even out. Well, one of the things to factor in is the fact that most people don't use that range. And it's just
Yeah,
how often are you really going after all of the juice that's in your battery? It doesn't happen that often. And so that makes for a particularly, I don't know, just kind of deceptive. It's like, really?
yeah.
Like, why don't we do this on gas cars?
Mhm.
Why don't we have a chat about why gas cars don't get the gas mileage that people claim they get? Yeah.
I think Honda got in trouble for that a few years back too. That is probably more than a few years, 10 or 15 years, when they were big on hybrid, the Civic hybrid, and it was going to be new, and you were going to get 35 or 40 miles per gallon, and it was going to be great. And they said after a year or two, it got the same miles per gallon as just a plain old Civic. Um, and I think they got in pretty good trouble for that, saying like that was deceptive.
Well, I don't know at what point it's deceptive and at what point it's possible
Yeah.
for a car to get better mileage. I know I when I had gas cars, I'd always try to match the mileage and see if I could possibly hit
Yeah.
the number on the highway. And it was just so hard to do. It was possible, but a lot of those numbers are speculating you're driving like 55 miles per hour.
Mhm.
And it's very rare to find a highway where you would drive exactly 55 miles per hour. And so that makes things,
Yeah, you're
uh,
driving 55, the AC's not on, the heat's not on, um, you're not powering your subs in the back, anything like that. It's just boring, as boring
yeah,
as you could get. How boring could you drive this vehicle and optimize it?
no, I get it. Anyways, I didn't have a whole lot to cover today. So, anyways, Mike, I appreciate you being on the show with me. And, folks, I see we've got a bunch of people watching today. Appreciate you watching in. Make sure to share this video with somebody that helps out with the various algorithms, depending on which platform you might be watching us from. And otherwise, everybody have a great day.